There is a moment that happens when nobody is watching. Not a dramatic moment, not a crisis, not the kind of thing you would tell anyone about, even if they asked how you were doing. Just a quiet Tuesday or a Sunday evening or 2 a.m. when the phone is face down and the room is dark and it is just you. And in that moment, without planning it, without meaning to, you look at your own life, not the version you describe to other people, not the highlights, not the story you tell yourself when you need to feel okay about where you are, the real version, the gap between where you are and where you always assumed you would be by now. And something happens in that look, not panic, not anger, not even sadness exactly, just a quiet recognition that you have been here before, that this gap, this specific distance between your potential and your reality has been sitting in the same place for longer than you want to count. And then, because you are the kind of person who cannot leave a thought alone, you ask yourself the question, why? Not dramatically, not in a way that requires an answer right now, just why? Why is someone who understands so much still here? Why is someone who tries still stuck? Why is someone who can see exactly what needs to happen somehow unable to make it happen? And the answer your brain gives you, the one that arrives quietly and stays, is the most damaging word in the human vocabulary: lazy. You tell yourself you are lazy, and I need you to hear this clearly. That is the wrong diagnosis, and the wrong diagnosis has been keeping you stuck for years. Here is what is actually happening, and I want you to understand this not as motivation, not as something designed to make you feel better temporarily, but as the most accurate description of your psychological reality you have ever been given. You are not lazy. Lazy people do not lie awake at night thinking about what they should be doing. Lazy people do not feel the weight of their own potential pressing down on them every time they sit still. Lazy people do not consume content about growth and psychology and change, desperately searching for the one thing that finally makes it click. That is not laziness. That is someone who cares enormously about a life they cannot quite reach for a reason they have never correctly identified. The correct identification is this: you are invisible to yourself, not invisible to others, not invisible in the world, invisible specifically to yourself. Here is what that means precisely. You have a completely accurate map of everyone else's strengths. You can see what other people are good at. You can identify their potential. You can articulate exactly what they should do to move forward. But when you turn that same clarity inward, it disappears. You cannot see your own strengths the way you see theirs. You cannot assess your own potential with the same generosity you extend to everyone around you. When you look at yourself, the same analytical mind that sees everything clearly in others sees only the gap, only the distance between where you are and where you should be, only the evidence of everything you have not done yet. Psychologists call this the self-perception gap. It is the distance between how accurately you see others and how distorted your view of yourself actually is. And for people like you, people who are highly self-aware, highly analytical, deeply invested in growth, that gap is not smaller than average, it is larger, because the same intelligence that makes you capable of extraordinary self-reflection also makes you extraordinarily capable of cataloging every flaw, every failure, every moment you fell short of your own standard. You are using your greatest strength against yourself and calling the result laziness. Let me tell you what being invisible to yourself actually costs, not theoretically, in your specific daily life. It costs you your starting point. Every time you consider beginning something, a project, a habit, a version of yourself you want to build, you do not start from zero. You start from negative, because before the first action, before the first step, your brain has already run the calculation. Last time you tried this, you stopped. Last time you committed, it faded. Last time you believed in yourself, the belief ran out before the result arrived. And so you begin, if you begin at all, already carrying the weight of every previous attempt. That is not laziness. That is someone trying to run a race with every previous failure tied to their back. It costs you your self-trust, not trust in other people. You trust other people generously. You believe in their potential quickly and completely. But self-trust, the specific quiet confidence that your own judgment about your own life is worth following, has been eroded by years of watching yourself know what to do and not do it, by years of promising yourself things and not keeping those promises, by years of the gap staying the same size despite genuine effort to close it. And here is what eroded self-trust does. It makes every decision harder than it should be. It makes every starting point feel less certain than it actually is. It makes the voice that says, "You can do this," quieter than the voice that says, "Remember last time." And eventually, the voice that says, "Remember last time," gets so loud that you stop hearing anything else. It costs you your identity, because at some point, and this is the most expensive cost of all, you stop seeing the gap as a temporary distance between where you are and where you are going, and start seeing it as a permanent description of who you are. So, how do you become visible to yourself? Not through motivation. You have had enough motivation. It illuminates the gap, but does not close it. Not through discipline alone. Discipline applied to someone who cannot see themselves clearly is just pressure, added to confusion. One thing, you start treating yourself with the same quality of attention you give to everyone else. Not more, not special treatment, not toxic positivity that papers over real problems with fake affirmations. Just the same honest, generous, accurate attention you already know how to give. Because here is what you already do. For other people, when someone you care about is stuck, you do not immediately catalogue their failures. You look for what is true about them, what is real, what they have already demonstrated they are capable of, even when they cannot see it themselves. You do that naturally, generously, without effort, and then you turn that same attention on yourself, and it vanishes. Jim Rohn said, "Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job." But I want to say something more specific than that. Learn to see yourself as accurately as you see the people you believe in most, not more generously, not with lower standards, with the same quality of honest, clear seeing. Because the person you have been calling lazy has shown up through 15 months of rejection and kept going, has tried things that did not work and tried again, has carried the weight of an unlived potential every single day without putting it down. That is not Laziness. That is one of the most demanding things a human being can do. Raj Shamani says, the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with your own potential. And right now, that relationship is built on a mistaken identity. You think you are the person who cannot move. You are actually the person who has been moving through conditions that would have stopped most people long ago. The only thing that needs to change is not your discipline, not your strategy, not your consistency, just how clearly you see the person who has been doing all of this. That person is not lazy. That person has never been lazy. They just could not see themselves clearly enough to know it.